Well, welcome to another episode of Out of the Blank podcast. I'm here with Rachael.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Rachael, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Oh dear. I am 24. I am from Minnesota. Um, I live in Australia now, and I really like writing and talking and eating chocolate and drinking wine.
That is a lot, but I have a huge question. Why did you go from an extremely cold climate to one of the hottest climates?
Uh, well, because I like being warm. So I went to school at Arizona State University, which was really warm. And so I loved being in the desert and where it's hot. So I'm all about that. But I like the winter now. I appreciate the winter more not being there all the time now.
I think it's better to be too cold than it is to be too hot. For some reason, like once it's like too hot, you can take as much as you want off, but then eventually it's like you can't take your skin off. I mean, you can try, it's not going to go well, but like putting stuff on was so easy. Like if I have in my room, for instance, I have my blanket, but my toes can't be under the covers. No, 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 no. But like, I like it cold where I can just wrap myself up like a cocoon, and then you try and, you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I can't move at all.
Yeah, see, I like that, but I would rather be hot. Like if it's um like 100 degrees and everybody's sweating, like I can be sweaty but good. Like I'm like liking it. But if it's really cold, it's okay, but I freeze and I just need to wear like 17 layers, which is what I'm doing now, so it's fine.
Nothing's better than when you like are out playing in the snow or something and your hands and feet, like they just lose feeling and they're numb. Try swiping or unlocking anything on your phone when your hands can't work properly. Like my hands won't close. I'm like, all right, yep, I'm at this point, there's no texting. Got to go back inside and heat up.
Yeah, you need to take a break. You need to warm up. So that's to me every Christmas. I need to get my life back together and get used to being in the cold.
What would you consider the worst Christmas gift you've ever received?
Oh my gosh. I can't really think of one because I love Christmas and I grew up really like, I just love every gift. But probably like a jar of jam, just because I'm not into jam.
Wait, hold on a second. I love how you go, oh, I love Christmas because the gift. Is that the reason why you love Christmas? Because that's an honest answer, and I like it because I feel like everybody's like, I love it because you get to spend time with your family. That is a lie. Every time we've all gotten down in my family for Christmas, it's been like 30 minutes of like enjoyment of, oh, it's nice to see you. Then we all realize how we don't like each other and the reason why we all live so far apart, where it's like, you got me a sweater and it says I'm an asshole on the sweater. Thank you for that. Like, I really appreciate it. I'm going to burn it when you leave.
Yeah, no, I know I love my family. I love Christmas, but yeah, the gifts are big. My family's always been really big on the gifts. Like they're not necessarily really expensive gifts, but everybody gets like 8 of them. And it's really fun. And I used to have, when I was little, I had my own Santa's workshop where I would wrap all the gifts and pretend I was an elf because I was a really great child.
Do you really love Christmas? For me, it was like I really appreciated the cards because I feel like if like I have some from my great grandfather, for instance, and he's no longer with us, but he would always write like a paragraph in it. And I'm like, when I read it now, I can hear his voice. So it's like a memory. And I'm like, this is important information. Like we need to focus on the family stuff. Plus, I like to play Frank Sinatra Christmas songs around the house. You know what I mean? Like I love the classic feel.
Ooh, I like that. Frank Sinatra at Christmas. I'm going to put that on my list for this Christmas.
There's a DMX song that's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and it is the best thing I have ever heard in my entire life.
Oh my,
Do,
okay. I got
do
to
you know who
listen to that.
DMX is? Do you know who DMX is?
I no. Well, no, I feel like there's a band that sings that song that's called Listen to Your Heart or something, but that's not them.
Have you ever seen Deadpool?
Yes.
You know, when the part where he's fighting the bad guys at the ending and he goes, "Where the hood, or X gonna give it to you." That whole
Oh,
deep
yeah.
voice, that's DMX, and he is like an extremely aggressive rapper. But then later
Oh.
found God, and now he's all religious and stuff. He's very nice now. But back in the day, he was a hardcore thug. Where Rough Riders, that song came from, and let's just say him screaming "Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer." It's the funniest
Oh my God.
thing I have ever heard. Just blasting that through your TV in the whole entire house when your grandmom's just picking up her coffee to sip it, and then you just hear what? And it's like, whoa, and she like throws the glass. It is the best thing. I love it. I love freaking out everybody in my family with that.
Okay, my mom would be really freaked out, so that'll definitely go on the list. That has to happen. She
So
would be alarmed.
I know I found you through the podcast, and I had a question because you call it helping a girl out.
Yes.
Are you specifically targeting women? Because I was like, maybe I need some life advice.
No, no, I mean, we have our name Help a Girl Out, but we are happy to help a guy out as well. We're happy to help anyone out, really. A lot of our advice, I guess, would be geared toward women just because it's stuff that we've gone through. It's mainly stuff like what not to do. But we are happy to help a guy out as well. And we are happy to try and give some perspective too on what women want and what I mean, but everyone has a subjective opinion. But we're happy to help anybody out, really. So if you need help, you just let us know.
Well, what exactly do you typically talk about? Like, give me an example of episode or a certain thing that you try and help people out with some advice.
Okay, so one of ours we talked about on our episode, The Vortex, was all about moving away from your home or your kind of your comfort zone. So Katie moved from Minnesota to California to start a new job and didn't really research where she was moving. So that was fine. And then I moved from Minnesota to Arizona for college, and then I moved to Australia. So we talked about kind of that whole process, dealing with it, being excited for the move, but also letting yourself be homesick if you're homesick, and trying to stay connected with where you came from and your family and friends. So we went kind of in depth in that episode, but we have a lot more to talk about on that topic. And then we also did a dating episode called Shooting Your Shot, which I'm really bad at shooting my shot. So I was really kind of like, here, I have some tips on how to be really awkward if that's what you're into. And then Katie had some tips on actually being confident.
Shooting your shot. Is that like shooting the shit?
I don't know. I've never heard of shooting the
You've
shit,
never
but I
heard of
would have.
shooting the shit? Like, that's what we're doing right now is we're just shooting the shit.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. No. Okay. I got it. I got the shooting the shit now. Yeah. Shooting the shot would be like if you walk into a bar and you see someone that you're interested in, like how do you make the first move, sort of
I
thing.
sit uncomfortably awkward in the corner and don't say a single word.
Yeah.
Just stare
Exactly.
from a
That's what I
distance
was saying.
until they get uncomfortable and they look over like, why are you staring at me? I'm like, huh, huh, and look down at the floor.
Yeah. That's what I was like. I'm really awkward. I hated Tinder. I hated everything about dating. It freaked me out. So it's fine.
I've been hit on by more gay guys than I think I've been hit on by girls, which makes me really think my hairstyle or makes me think my demeanor or something a little bit. And I'm so nice about like, all right, here's a good one. How do you politely reject somebody? Because the way I do it was I had a guy recently say, hey, you know, you're very cute. I'd like to take you on a date. And I just looked at him and I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not gay at this time, but maybe towards the future, if you want to check back in with me, then I might be able to accommodate your needs. And then he just looked at me like, what? And then walked away. And then I had some chick come up to me and go, did you just like put a pin in that? And I'm like, I don't know what's going to be like in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. I have no clue. I didn't want to just straight up, because I feel like that's the worst thing is like you get so much courage to ask somebody out or do something. And it's really strange how we think of it. Like if you're attracted to the person and you just say no, you do it like you don't want to hurt their feelings. But if they're like disgusting and you really don't like them, then you don't care about crushing their feelings, which is like if an old guy came up to me with no teeth and was like, hey, Sonny, I'd like to take you on a date. I'm like, where's the money? You got the money? Let's go. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like I need a new pair of shoes. No, no, it's kidding. But there's that kind of like, the dating world is a little bit risky and it is pretty tricky. And I'm trying to figure out, like, is there really a polite way to do it without really hurting somebody's feelings?
Yeah, no, I feel you 100%. I felt that way a lot, especially when I studied abroad. I felt like there were a lot of people coming up to me, and I was like, first of all, I was like, why are you coming up to me? Second of all, I felt really awkward because I didn't want to be rude, but then I also like felt a little uncomfortable, and I'm really bad at it. I would be like, sorry, like, and I would feel bad, and then I'd just keep talking to them and be like, my girls need to get me out of here. But I would just keep sipping on my tequila sunrise and wait for sunnier days to come. I'm not that good at deflecting. Like, I feel bad the same way that you said. I always feel kind of bad about it. Katie had kind of some good tips, and she was saying kind of try and just make the most of it. So even if it's someone that you're like not really feeling, if you just try and keep it low key and keep it funny and like get something out of the conversation, that makes it better.
There's a right way to do it too. Like, yeah, I mean, I'll give you an example. Just last week, I had a dude message me. I barely know, like just Facebook friends. He messaged me through Messenger at 2:00 in the morning asking if I was bi. And I was like, what? And then he just goes, because you can get it. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, in my head, I'm thinking, what the hell? But I'm like, so like trying to be polite because I don't want to ever like, I understand. Like, it was really weird and uncomfortable, but I was like, look, I don't want to be like a dick and tell you to go fuck yourself. I'm gonna be like, hey man, I appreciate that, but no, I'm not, sorry. And then like, he was like, okay, cool, just wanted to check. And I'm like, what do I say? Check
Wow,
back in later? I don't understand. Like, I try my best because like I understand what it was like. Like, I was a kid and I always had like a crush on somebody, and then like I'd be too afraid to ask or something. I'm pretty sure everybody has that. Now I go out into life and like where I used to be like, oh my gosh, she's so attractive, I want to say something. Now I'm just like, hey, like I just treat everybody equal at the same point. Like, even if I'm attracted to them, just talk to them like a normal person or something. It's really, really actually helps out. But surprisingly, girls come on to me and ask me out for some reason. I don't know if it's like I have this like
wow.
nice sensitivity look or something where they're like, I want to mess you up. And I'm like, okay.
But I think that what you were saying about treating everyone equal, I think that women like that. Like, I think that I always, before I was in a relationship, I always was turned off by guys in the bar that thought they were like the shit and that thought they were really cool and like all that. I was like, oh, I like the guys that were a bit more like approachable and kind of just like funny, like felt like you could just have a conversation with them without any kind of like pressure, So I feel like maybe you're approachable and that's why they come up to you.
I have what they call calm and submissive energies.
Ooh,
I heard
okay.
I heard a yoga teacher say that. She's like, you have very calm and submissive energies. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing, honestly. I'm just trying to figure out life like most of us out here. But if we look at a bar scenario, like if you ever see a movie, like there's a guy looking at a girl and he's scoping her out, it's like a Terminator thing. Like, it's like you get this, like you start analyzing, you start really like, oh, this demeanor. Some girls like to be hit on, and other girls like to hit on the guy. I'm the type that likes to get a hit on first, so I know it's okay. Like, I don't feel like asking and then being like, sorry, you're disgusting. I'm like, well, I'm going to cry in the shower a little bit and then see where that takes me.
Yeah, I would not hit on someone first. I would be mortified. I think I was very timid. And the one other thing that we talked about in shooting the shot was how much I hated first dates, because I hated the dynamic of the first kiss. Like, I just couldn't stand it. It freaked me out so bad. I have ran away from so many first kisses. It's not even funny. Okay, not really. I haven't been on that many dates, but I ran away from a lot of not a lot, like maybe 2, but it was enough to scar me for life.
That's the only thing I think I was good at, was because I would just go for it. I just wouldn't even think twice about it. Like, when it was the time, I wouldn't just be like, hey, nice to meet you, and then go face sucking. No, it would just be like at like the right moment and stuff. I like the whole lead up to it. I like the whole, like, my first date scenarios. Like, I live in a beach town, so it's like I'm going to walk on the beach with you. I go way too like extreme on the first date where it really gets like, okay, all right, well, this is now they really start falling for you. Like, every relationship I've ever had has been like, oh, we went through a walk through a nature trail, and then on the trees I put like something carved into each tree, like a letter. And then as you would stand at this certain spot that I would mark down, you would see the lineup of the trees, like a fucking like movie. And it was like, that's way too much for a
Wow.
first date and stuff. And I'm like, well, shit, I don't know what's going on. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, if you've given me the time to actually, be around me, then fuck, I gotta go all out. I'm not a flashy guy. I try and do it, nothing super expensive, but I try and make it like different than how most people would do. Be like, oh, nice to meet you. And then like they're on their phone half the time through a movie. I'm like, why would you go to a movie on the first date? That sounds like a really good idea, but it's shit, because that's the time you need to learn about somebody. That is the time you need to talk. I want to ask questions. I want to be like, what's your favorite fucking color? What? Okay, give me a lot. Like, I'm really like, it's just like I would do with the podcast. So it would be like a date with every single guest I have, but it would be like, I'm trying to find out the information so I know where to decipher, because if I can't connect with you on a friend level, then how do I expect to get a relationship out of it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you. And I was never a fan of the movies. That's probably one of my favorite dates now, but not for a first date. And I had a few. I was really awkward in high school, very, very, very awkward. But I had like a few times where guys that I thought we were just friends, like took me to the movies, but I thought we were just going as friends. And I was just so awkward. I couldn't comprehend that they thought it was like a date. And it just was always so weird. And I was like, I gotta evacuate this theater. It's getting awkward now. I need to leave.
I feel like a lot of it deals on the factor of overthinking. I think where I don't really give off like this like predator vibe, at least I'm hoping I
Mm.
don't. It's like on the factor of I'm so much in my own head where it's like I don't even understand what's going on. Like a minute later, I'll be like, yeah, you know what I mean? They're like, what? I'm like, I thought I said that out loud. Like that whole conversation I was having inside of my head, I thought that was actually going out there. Like I go into like a Matrix scenario where my eyes roll back in my head and they're thinking I'm having a seizure in the middle of class or something.
Well, that's fine. I think it's good that you're kind of in your head, and obviously you're thinking a lot, because it's never fun going on a date with someone who's like not there.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't really speak on the whole dating. I'm not super, super into the game. I've had a few, but I'm more like one of those guys that you would say, like, I'm okay with being a friend. I'd rather not be rejected and then have to cry in the shower. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, crying in the shower is not fun. Been there, done that.
Would you consider
Hates it.
that, like, technology nowadays is really changing up the dating game? I feel like it's getting a lot. I mean, honestly, we should just disconnect from it, because, like, Tinder, they're good for meeting people that you would never probably meet just walking around. Oh, I just missed that. That could have been your true love if you would have went to that store. Okay. But at the same time, we're using devices in like the worst way, where we're like fishing out a lure, trying to catch as many things as possible instead of just trying to find somebody we can connect with. And then people do like catfishing or false identities. Have you ever been catfished?
Oh, no, I haven't been I don't think I've been catfished. Like, I wouldn't make it on the MTV show.
Like some dude messaging you and he's got the picture of Johnny Depp and you're just like, oh my God. But it's like 21 Jump Street Johnny Depp. So you don't know it's Johnny Depp.
Yeah, no, that hasn't happened to me, thank God. But I have just had like weird guys messaging me, and I was like, what is going on? And I had a few, I only went on, I think, maybe 2 or 3 Tinder dates. My friend signed me up for it when I studied abroad, and I was really like, oh my God, no, this is so weird. I don't know what is happening. And on all of them, I misidentified him. So his photos were with friends, and I thought he was the friend. But then, like, I got on the date, and then it was not the guy that I thought it was. So, and then there's the whole awkward, like, you can't actually recognize who they are. Like, you don't actually know. It's like really awkward. Oh, it makes me so anxious thinking about it. Like going into a bar and being like, are you the person? Oh my God, I can't. It gives me flashbacks.
This is what really is like kind of like I'm fearing about the world, is I believe we're coming to be a bit body dysmorphic, because like I feel like people are always showing themselves like with Instagram filters and effects, that it's gotten to a point that like we go out into the world, we're afraid because we don't look like the photo. And I'm like, that's what I give the people like on Tinder that do like a picture of like a downward angle where it's got the double chin and it's just them. It's like, there you go, because then you're really showing like, hey, this is me, you know, obviously not in the best of lights. So then when you do see me, it's a lot better. But we're always trying to put the best image possible on Instagram or social media, making it, oh, I'm out in the Bahamas. It's like, oh, I got a good tan. And then you see the person, they look like a vampire. Like, holy shit, you're not what I was picturing. It's like before the 90 days.
Yeah. And I had that where I thought he had short hair and then he had a man bun, which is fine.
Good
That's
God.
fine. But I
That's not
personally,
fine. Don't say that.
yeah, I personally am not huge on the man bun. So I was like, oh my God, what's what's happening? But I agree about the whole photos, because even like if I think back to like 4 years ago, um, I cared so much more about what my photos look like. And now I'm just like, yeah, whatever, don't even care. That sounds great. I know I look not swell, that's fine. I don't even care. But I think if you, and I was only on it for like a tiny bit, but I think the longer that you're on it, the worse it gets, because you feel like that huge pressure to be someone that you're not. And then you go on a date and then it's like awkward because it's not authentic. I keep saying awkward, but really it's just like weird. Oh,
That's what it is. The first date is really, really awkward because you don't know what to say. You've really kind of based a lot of like why you're picking up this person on the looks. You don't sometimes truly know what the person's like. So next thing you know, you could be like, you know, I think that like the world is like this amazing thing, and the person's like, I think the world's crap, and I love Trump, and you're like, whoa, I was not expecting that answer to hit me hard. And it's like it's a big issue with like couples, and like if you start to notice back in the day, people were, you know, parents weren't divorced. Like you never really could talk to a kid and they'd be like, hey, my parents are divorced. You'd be like, oh, because they were a rarity. You were like, whoa. And now it's the norm. And I believe it's just
yeah.
because we don't get enough to know about the person, and then next thing you know, they end up moving in together, and next thing you know, they break up after a while because you realize the person's like a slob, and you're like, well, I'm not comfortable with this. And that's like, you know, in so many relationships you always hear about like they've been dating for a couple of years and they decided to get a dog. That's when you know they're starting to think about a kid, because if you can handle taking care of a dog, your mind goes, well, then I could definitely take care of a child. And then you realize when it happens, oh fuck, I cannot take care of both.
Yeah, we're actually looking at getting a dog. So that's really funny because this will be a true test. I
I
agree. But I'm like it I want a dog so badly. So it's gonna sink or swim. But I agree that what you were saying about like the whole divorce thing and stuff. And one thing that I feel like happens a lot is I feel like people stop putting effort in and they get comfortable, but then they like stop putting effort in and then they break up. But then I'm like, you have to put effort in with another person. Like, I don't know. I just feel like
You
you would just,
gotta fart first. Somebody's gotta break that awkward tension. I've done it on every single relationship I've been on. I'm just like, I can't hold it. I sorry, you know, I'm gonna do it. If you're not comfortable enough to do it around me, then obviously I messed up as a person, because you should have that comfortability factor. It totally, you're always like, there's this false persona. You move in with someone, let me act this way for an extended period of time until finally I get it. And then next thing you know, I can let the guard down and I can be myself. And then the person's like, well, this wasn't what I was expecting at all. Let that shit out to dry up front. Be you. Stop trying to be this glamored up version that you want to post on social media. It creates a false personality. The next thing you know, the person's like, wow, I really don't like the way you've been acting recently. I'm like, well, this is me. Like, this is who I
yeah.
am.
Yeah. And I feel like if somebody actually really loves you, they will appreciate your little quirks and the weird things that you do. And like, you know, just the way that you are at home when you're hanging out. Like, for example, going back to the being cold thing, I oftentimes will go to bed in my winter jacket. And my fiance is not necessarily the biggest fan of that because I have like a kind of a wool winter jacket. So he says it's like the dish scrubber, you know, like the little uh iron, you know, the little thing that you
Steel
scrub the
wool.
dishes with.
Steel
Yeah.
wool. Yeah.
Yes, steel wool, thank you. But I oftentimes go to bed in that and refuse to take it off because I'm so cold. I won't sleep in normal pajamas. But
I wear heavy jackets when I go out in public. I always wear a sweat jacket or wear something, but I'm body dysmorphic. So it's like, I do that even though I have a six pack. I just, taking a shirt off to me is like was bullied extremely to the point where it was like just messed me up. But when it
Oh,
comes to like wearing a jacket, I mean, depending on what time of the year it is, but like people that sleep shirtless or sleep in their underwear and stuff, I can't do that. That's too free range of motion for me down there. I need to be wearing like pants. I need to be wearing something,
need
or
to be contained.
that's just how comfortable I can get. I mean, I don't sleep with pillows. I'm probably like, all right, so I threw out my Tempur-Pedic after somebody got it for me as a gift, like a $100 Tempur-Pedic. I just gave it away because I hated it so much. It was way too fucking soft. I'm good with a mattress on the floor, no pillows, one maybe in between the legs. Like I like that, or like holding on to it, like arms around it and
Wow.
stuff. But I'm so simple. But everyone like, I'm gonna buy you a $200 comforter. I'm gonna do this. All my Christmas gifts, the worst ones I've gotten are those, like the really expensive bed stuff that like, you can put a wine glass on it and it won't fall. I'm like, this is horseshit. This is too soft. I want to feel the flat. I want to feel like I'm sleeping on
Wow.
the ground because I used to camp all the time when I was a kid. So it was like,
Okay.
it's like nostalgia, and it sounds idiotic, but a lot of chicks can't handle that. They're like, why the hell is the bed so hard? I'm like, I don't know. I like it. This is too soft. Your bed's too soft. I feel like I'm stuck in it.
Wow. I mean, it's good. You're a simple man. The simple things in life make you happy. Well done. I could sleep
Simple
on
in
anything.
so many ways. Simple in so many ways.
I just love sleeping, so I'm good with wherever. It's fine. It's casual. I'll just fall asleep on pretty much anything. So
Would you say that
works for me.
like a lot of it is focused around dating, or would you say that it's more focused on the factor of like life advice or life lessons, stuff you wish you could give like to a younger kid that's probably listening? Because honestly, there's probably a 12-year-old that's listening out there somewhere. They've managed to, it's like trying to figure out, oh, when your parents lock the channels on the TV, you just figure out it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like, oh, it's like there's a kid out there listening. I feel like a lot of the times good information from older people or just from people that have figured or went through something is the best type of experiences. I mean, I wish someone would have told me how to navigate checkbooks, car payments, all these types of things in school. But then you start hearing it on a podcast, you start finding information on a podcast, you start learning more.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the things that we wanted to do is Katie and I both love to talk, and we have gone on a lot of wine tours, and on every wine tour, we're telling stories to each other. And then the other people on the wine tour start like eavesdropping, and they're like, what are you saying? We need to know the rest of your story. Sorry. Like they want to know like our story, and they think it's funny. And we don't really think it's that funny, but everybody wants to know. So we were like, maybe we have kind of some stories that we can share. And then we thought we wanted to keep it kind of broad so that we could focus on a lot of different topics, because we like to talk about pretty much everything. So I would say that it's kind of a mix of storytelling with advice, with kind of an overall kind of that life advice, and kind of just like support. We want to give people kind of a platform if they want to share their stories or share their advice. So we kind of talk about everything. There's a lot of travel, there's a lot of dating, there's a lot of navigating adulthood, whether it's successfully or not successfully. There's a lot of friendship. And yeah, just we still have a lot more to come. We're definitely going to do some more on kind of mental health and anxiety and all that sort of stuff, because we do find that to be very important. But we have like 79 million episode ideas, so we'll get there eventually. But yeah, it's kind of come to us if you want to laugh, and if you want some advice, we may be able to tell you what to do or not to do. It just depends on the situation.
What is your worst story? You got one that you like are really afraid to tell, or like you just really makes you cringe? Like I think we all get at like 1:00 in the morning, we're just staring up at the ceiling. Oh my God, that was the worst thing in the world. Like something from 8th grade could hit you.
Oh my God. Okay, so my worst story ever. I'm trying to think what would I even say? There are so many that are just embarrassing and bad. Oh my God. I don't even know where to begin. That is honestly stumping me because there's so many. I think probably it would probably have to be something with one of the first times I got drunk, because that just wasn't a good look
Okay,
for
what's your
anybody.
worst? I'll share my worst drunk experience if you share your worst one.
Okay. I have a few, so I'm kind of trying to figure out which one, but okay, I got it. Wait, you go first so that I have time to think about mine.
I drank a whole bottle of Fireball, and I like the giant ones. I was sipping it the whole time, and then it all hit me at once. But I was in the bathroom peeing, and I had a shelf behind, like where I was standing up, like behind my head, and I had the toilet started getting really far away, and I was backing up slowly. I didn't know, and I nailed my head on it and knocked myself out. And then I woke up on the bathroom floor, and then somebody yelling at me, "Are you drunk?" I'm like, "What?" And I just went in bed, lied down. The worst part was the next day. I went to the gym and I ran 10 miles and I sweated nothing but cinnamon to the point where this was 5, 6 years ago. If you cook French toast in the house, I will get physically sick. I can't go to a Denny's. I can't go to anything. If there's anything that has cinnamon in it, I'm out. I can't do it. Pumpkin spice season's a bitch for me.
That is horribly sad because I love cinnamon rolls. And also just I can't do Fireball. Like I cannot even imagine drinking like a one shot of Fireball, let alone how much you had
I
in
got
your.
lucky that every time I've ever drunk or drank anything, it has been because only the hard stuff gets me. Like beer, just I don't like it. But I can handle like I can kill 2 bottles of Jaeger by myself and be fine. But I don't drink. That's the thing. Like it's just like there's alcoholism in my blood. So I was like, I'm just not gonna entertain this idea. Even though Screwball whiskey is really freaking good with the peanut butter chocolate bar. That is insane. That's how you get kids addicted.
Okay, peanut butter chocolate bar. I am there because I love chocolate and maybe I should combine it sometime with a drinking episode.
You mentioned the chocolate thing in the beginning.
Yeah, I'm all about it. Literally, I would eat chocolate all day, every day. It's fine.
But would you do what when I used to work at hotels, people would get drunk, kids would, like college kids that would come down for like vacation, they would eat a thing of wings and pizza in the bed and fall asleep in the mess, like the pizza boxes and the wing sauce. And you would just be like, what? How do you get that drunk? Like, honestly, I'm such a neat freak. Even when I'm drunk, I'm like, I can't, like, it's too messy. Like, if anything that's really hard to navigate food wise, like, if I can't, like, keep it contained, I don't want it. It's like when you're a child and you see them like with the goldfish and they have them, give them goldfish instead of like spaghetti because they're going to get spaghetti
Mm.
all over the place.
Yeah, no, I would not do that because I just get really tired and I'm like, okay, bye, peacing out. I don't want to eat and I don't want to eat when I wake up either. I'm like, goodbye, no food. Although when we studied abroad, we did go to Macca's every night and that just always ended well. That was a great time.
Worst drunk experience. Go. Come on. I shared.
Okay. Mine, okay, it's dumb because everybody says this. Mine would probably be my 21st birthday. Um, yeah, shocker. My boyfriend at the time came to visit me at ASU from Australia, and I had my two of my best friends. I was a bit sad because I had gone for their birthdays and they couldn't make it for mine. So I was just a bit. We were just texting, but I was a bit sad. And it came out while I was drinking at the bar. So we went out for the night that you turn 21. Everything was fine. It was casual. Nothing happened. I had like a few drinks and we danced and it was fine. And then on my actual birthday, the Sunday, we went to the day clubs in Scottsdale, Arizona. And my friend invited us, and I hadn't hung out with her that much. She was kind of like a new friend, and she was a bit older, and she was like, come out. And I thought we were just going to go have like one drink at the bar. But no, it was like she and Nick, my boyfriend, were taking turns buying me drinks. And within like 30 minutes, I was so drunk, I couldn't function. And we were dancing. It was all crazy. And then it started getting really sloppy. And I was trying to dance, where you'd like try and go low. I don't know if you ever try and go low, but I was trying to go low. And I completely wiped out, like ass over head, like all over the dance floor. And Nick had to lift me up and haul me back up. And then I tried to keep dancing. So that was the first mistake. And I should have stopped drinking. That was my sign to stop.
I love it how you're like, have you ever dropped low? I don't know if you've ever dropped low. I'm like, I've never gotten probably below the waist dancing style. I could do like the sprinkler maybe, but like my dance moves are not the best. I try not to do it.
No, this was too low for my, it was like trying to be a
Limbo
sexy
low.
dancer and it's not working. Yeah, it was way too low. And then, so Nick was meeting up with a friend that he hadn't seen in like 7 years. So he invited his friend to come and meet us. And so I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. I'll make a great impression. So he hasn't seen this guy in 7 years. We end up talking to this guy. I start bawling my eyes out about my friends for whatever reason. Like, I don't even know why, because they were wishing me happy birthday. They were saying they loved me. I just got really sad that they weren't there. And because I had surprised them for their birthdays. And anyway, it's totally fine. But I was crying I was just emotional. It all hit me at once. And then Nick ordered a beer with his friend, and he was like, okay, I think you're kind of done. And then the bartender had just served like a new beer. Like he had put a beer out, but the person walked away, and then I grabbed it. And then Nick was like, what are you doing? And I was like, it's mine. And it wasn't mine. And so I drank this beer. And then that was really a great classy move. And so at this point, Nick's friend is already looking at me like, what is wrong with this girl? Then I proceeded to take 50 Snapchats of me dancing, crying, and like licking his face like a cat. That was cute. Like it was exactly what it sounds like.
I love
really
the
cute.
perceptions of drunk people like that. It all gets so thrown off. Like I'm very like in my head trying to self-correct a lot of things that I do. And when I'm like drunk, or if when I was drunk, it was like I was trying my best to be like, all right, this is not normal to be in the bathroom for 55 minutes. I don't know how to get out. Like it's that whole thing. Like I start worrying about that. But there's a benefit to alcohol, I would say. It's definitely a social lubricant. It's definitely some good times. I mean,
Oh, yes.
I'll share a great experience, and you could share one too. Wait, was that the end of the bad experience? Because that already sounds pretty
Well, it
god
just got
awful.
worse from there. It really just got worse because his friend wanted to go to a ramen restaurant to calm down, and also he was into the waitress. And so we went to the ramen restaurant. I started bawling again, and I love ramen. I bawled into my bowl of ramen, refused to eat it, cried for 59 hours. Nick couldn't calm me down, and they brought me out a cake, and I cried into the cake. And then Nick he had gotten me Ray-Bans as my first Christmas present. And he was so distracted by what was going on that we left both of our Ray-Bans at the restaurant. And his friend had to drive us home, my like completely incoherent self. And then Nick had to carry me up 7 flights of stairs. It was very cute. And then I woke up going like, hi, this is so fun. And yeah, so Nick had a phenomenal time that day. It was fabulous.
You got to
And we had to go back and get the Ray-Bans and apologize to the waitress for me acting like a psycho.
Oh, that's the worst. You got to embrace those bad times. Like my cousin's worst experience, if you asked him, he'd be like, it'd be the time. Cause like over the summer, this past summer for us, somebody drugged him. He didn't know. And he drank a drink, and next thing you know, he's in the hospital. So he likes to think of that like, oh, it was a fun experience. It was an adventure. I was like, how was an adventure? You had to go to the hospital and almost get your stomach pumped. And he was just like, well, you got to look at it. Like, is that going to deter me from going out and having fun? I'm like, you might just be an alcoholic at that point. But, it's changing the perspective on it so it doesn't make him cringe in the middle of the night. So I get it. But the best experience, my best friend, my very first episode, his name's Skylar George. Shout out to him. It's kind of like a hard thing to talk about, but he's very closed off a lot of the times. The very time, like I'll always be like, love you, bro. And he's just like, yeah, okay. I'm like, all right, yeah, thanks. Makes you feel good. But whenever he gets drunk, he opens up. So we had an episode, like my birthday's New Year's Eve. So
Oh, cool.
we were like, we're going to watch the ball drop. We're going to talk, and we're going to, have fun. And we're drinking some Jack and everything like that. And he lost his brother to an opioid overdose.
Oh, wow.
And he told me, like, after drinking, he goes, dude, I'm having so much fun right now. And he goes, am I talking too much? I'm like, no, dude, you're doing great, man. He's like, dude, I just want to let you know that I might have lost a brother, but I gained one with you. And it fucking like almost brought me to like my knees. Like I was like crying. Like I wasn't trying to suck him off or anything. I was just like crying. Like, oh my God, like damn, that really hit me. And then he hugged me, and I'm like, why are you wet? He's like, oh, I went to the bathroom. I think I pissed on myself. I'm like, you asshole. But it was like it was such a crazy and like moment where like you don't remember the whole entire conversation, but you know you are connected to that person forever. And that's where I see a benefit in alcohol. People that have social anxieties. I mean, you want to talk about mental health. The world is becoming this thing where it's like everyone is like really suffering mentally, but we're not addressing it. And it sucks because I had a person come on my podcast, and if you ask anybody in elementary school, I used to say this kid's gay. Like, not like, oh, that's gay, but I meant like he's really gay. Like, he's actually gay, but he didn't even know yet. And then he came out after high school. He was like, and we talked about it on the podcast. I was like, you called me an asshole for calling you that, but I could just sense that about you. You had this presence about you. And not like walking or demeanor wise. And then he goes, yeah, he goes, I kind of was keeping it secret for a while, but you knew. And that's why I got upset about it a little bit. And I was like, I wasn't trying to be mean. And he had to take a shot to come over to my house to do the podcast. And it was like 7 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, you really need that? He goes, I have such bad social anxiety. The only time I can ever go outside is when I take a shot. And I made him so comfortable in that podcast episode, just talking and just, being there, just listening and having a good conversation. It doesn't need to be this like, oh, oh yeah, we're being recorded, but you don't need to worry about that. Be here with me. And he had such a great time and loved it. And, he's trying his hardest now to, get over that social anxiety. But everyone has something going on in their life. Everybody has something that's holding them back. And, depression is this type of thing that everyone's like, oh, why are you depressed? You're 12 years old. Why are you depressed? Depression can hit you at any age. You're lucky if you go unscathed without dealing with depression. From someone that suffers from it myself, there has been times where it's got a grasp on you and you can't let it go. And it sucks because social media, what the world has been exposing more and more to, is becoming more prevalent in kids. I had heard a story of a kid that was getting upset over video games. I can put myself in that kid's situation because I used to do that all the time. Someone's on Xbox Live saying, your mom's a slut. You're like, oh, shit, I'm upset and I want to yell at you. But there's a little kid that was getting so upset at the games that he would break things. And he ended up breaking his TV, but he was too afraid to tell his parents, even though his birthday. And I'm hearing this from the dad that's videotaping it. And he's crying, saying it. The kid broke his TV. He was too afraid to tell his parents, and his birthday was like a few days later. So he was going to get a new TV, but he was so afraid to tell his parents, and he was so upset with himself that he's 13 or I think 12 years old or something, grabbed a belt, went into his closet and hung himself. And the dad's crying, and he's just trying to get the message out there. Like, you don't know what's going on and how you need to be there, and you need to make sure that everything's okay, because even if you're having a hard day at work, you just want to go to bed, check in on someone in your family. We used to have these bonds and connections with people where you could literally talk to someone and feel so fucking good, like, oh my god, that really relieves so much of my stress. But now we do it on social media by posting, and you get a like, and then you get 2 likes, and then nobody likes your post on the next one, and then you're like, does anybody still love me? Am I still valued or relevant? It's like every meme on Facebook is about depression. And it's like, you laugh and you like it because you can relate to it. And it's like, that's not healthy as people. We need to come back to having them family dinners, having them time. And even if you don't have that opportunity to sit with your family because your parents worked or, home life wasn't so good, you can find a close friend and have those connections. It's the same reason why you probably started a podcast with your friend, because you guys separated. You guys used to live near each other. Next thing you know, everybody's moving away. And then you're like, we still have to, besides texting and Snapchat, we still need to have us time where we can sit and talk. And then why don't we record it? And then now it's like, you're worried about listeners. You're like, hey, we got people are listening to us. We got to record an episode. And it gets you guys together because you feel like you have to. But then you're like, that didn't need to get us together because I'm having so much fun right now.
Yeah. I think that's spot on, because I think like nobody knows what people are going through. I know I felt that way growing up. I have a brother with severe autism. He's nonverbal, and growing up, obviously there was a period of time where he got very aggressive. And I just always felt like, okay, everybody else goes on vacations with their family, they go out to dinner with their family. I don't do that. Like, I just felt very kind of alone, even though I did have a strong support system, but it's still just by the nature of it can make you feel lonely and that sort of thing. And I think a lot of people go through stuff like that that's just maybe a bit hidden, and you also don't necessarily want to be crying out for attention or, you know, whatnot. And I know, you know, so many people, everybody has something that they go through. And I think staying connected and trying to talk about it is obviously the best way. And that's exactly what Katie and I wanted to do, because obviously we miss each other a lot and we don't get to talk a lot. And we thought the podcast would be a super fun way to kind of catch us up on each other's lives while also, you know, helping others out. We just kind of want to brighten people's day, maybe make them laugh a bit. And so we now kind of hold off on telling each other certain things that happen to us, and we save it for the podcast so that we can kind of
Get that
hear
real
about what's
reaction.
going on in each other's lives, but hear it for the first time. So we really kind of enjoy that. And it's made us just even closer because we're talking all the time, we're sending voice messages, but also that whole thing about kind of that pressure of, oh, we need to get an episode out, we need to do this. Like, we are kind of trying to be really careful of the fact that we don't want to set too high of expectations for ourselves because we both are really busy. And so right now we're really enjoying recording because we're not being like, oh my God, we have to record 5 episodes today, you know, or we have to get this many done this week. We're being really kind of casual is our term.
Yeah,
I think
don't post an episode every day. That's terrible. That's anybody that does that's a jerk. Well, I mean, it's funny because like we all have connections with people. I mean, I'm sure you have amazing stories, you know, stuff that you really don't remember the full detail to it, but they really connect you with every time you see that person, you light up. Everyone has this. And if you don't have those, you can develop that with somebody. I know people that found their best friend like 30 years in. I have a friend that we've been really close for, I mean, I was invited to his wedding and he was my 200th episode on this podcast. I have never met the person in real life. I've only played with him on video games, but I have his Facebook, his Instagram, his Snapchat, everything. His name's Kelly Silver. Shout out to him. Never met in person. He lives in Wisconsin. I live in Maryland. So it's a giant gap. But I mean, his wedding's supposed to be coming up. I'm invited to it. I'm going to go. I know his whole family. You know, when he lost his mom, I was there. It's all that. You can connect with somebody, anybody. You just got, it's going to be awkward. It's going to be uncomfortable at first. You're going to be like, knock on the door when you enter. And then eventually after a couple months of hanging out, you're walking right in the door and taking a dump right in their toilet and you're not caring because that awkwardness is gone. Try and, you know, if you're too afraid of that awkwardness, you're never going to experience what it's like to have friends, to have a relationship, to go out and get something and to really feel comfortable with someone. If you feel uncomfortable all the time, work on trying to do that. Like I have an ego issue. I have a huge ego where everyone's always trying to compliment me or something. I deny that. I say, nope, I'm good. Because once you start feeding that, then you start lacking the drive to go and pursue anything else. If people are like, you're doing amazing, I could be doing better. Like, why are you so self-deprecating? Because once you stop letting that happen, you start being comfortable. And that's a good thing when it comes to being around people. You should never, ever worry about what someone else thinks of you. You should have that sweatpants confidence when you go to the store. But there's just about life, you should always feel like you could be doing something to get to the next spot. And if you feel like you're happy where you're at, good. You know, keep going, keep driving forward, keep adding and doing what you love. Like it's so easy in this time and day to, you know, be so creative, especially when it's all around us technology wise. But it's like we become so complacent in where we are in life that it's like, I'm okay. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. That's fine. It's like, but don't you just want to be happy?
Yeah, I think people should go for their goals. And I mean, I know it's very cliche, but you do only have one life to live, apparently.
YOLO.
So yeah, YOLO. I mean, I said that a lot when I studied Rod Whoops, but you know, you should go for it. And if there's something that you're interested in, like, you know, a podcast, that's something that I've been like, I would love to do a podcast for ages. I've said that, but I've never actually been like, okay, I'm going to actually start one. And then Katie kind of messaged me and was like, oh my God, I want to do a podcast and I only want to do it with you. Please do it with me. And it just kind of fell together. And, but it was kind of at the right time, you know? So I think if you kind of pay attention to yourself and if you're feeling like you want something more or you want to challenge yourself a little bit, I think it's so good to put yourself out there, and not everybody, you know, needs to do a podcast or do a YouTube channel or do whatever, but whether it's you like writing, you like, you know, playing a sport, you like
The
making
real test
music,
of
like
a
whatever it is.
relationship is shooting a porn with your best friend. See how that goes. That's to
Mm.
show if you're really connected.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know what would happen there. I've never had that thought. So that's a new thought. I'm going to relay that to Katie and see what she says. I guarantee you she'll
I couldn't
giggle.
do it with my best friend. I'll tell you that. He grew a weird mustache where he looks like a porn star or a cop. Like some cop that would be like, "Hey, pull over the car." I'm like, "What happened?" It's that relationship you have with someone where you don't talk for months, but then you know, like you guys are still best friends. Basically, you just pick it up the next day, like, "Hey, how's it going?" It's like that whole time gone wasn't what didn't happen. And I
Yeah.
approached his house, and his mom's like my mom. And I walk in, and he's got a full-on cop mustache. He's doing his own beef jerky. He's got like these giant aviators on, and I'm like, "What the fuck happened?" Like, I was gone for a month. I hadn't seen you, and you got all this transformation. He goes, "Yeah, I'm making my own jerky, and I'm also thinking about making my own beer." I'm like, I left you a month ago, and you were just like playing games and, you know, living this whole other life. What happened in that month? Well, I found Reddit, and I'm like, oh, okay. That's the answer to all of our issues here.
That explains it, the Reddit. No, I think that's cool. I think, and I admire people who try something new or who, you know, just kind of give something a shot, even if they're not sure what's going to turn out. Because eventually you learn something either way. It may be good or it may be bad, but you learn from it, and hopefully you can enjoy a little bit of the experience. And I mean, I've always wanted to make beer or wine. Not sure it would turn out, but
What's a
it's an
wine? You
option.
said you went on a wine tour. It's like, what do you like, Journey? You're going out on tours and stuff? Like, I don't understand what the wine tour is.
A wine tour is the most amazing thing that's ever happened to me. It is
Tour
so
or tour?
tour.
Tour.
Okay, is that how you pronounce it in Maryland? Tour is how we say it in Minnesota. Tour. Tour.
That's tour.
Tour.
Tour. I have a Baltimore accent. Leave me alone.
It's okay. Nobody understands me, and nobody understands me when I say flag either. Is that how I say it? Now I get confused because people ask me all the time, and then I get confused how they're saying it. You say that.
Flag?
Flag. Okay, we say flag. That's where it is. Sorry, I got it now.
Well, you're from Minnesota.
Yeah, my accent gets a little confused. But a wine tour is basically where you get on a little bus and they drive you around to all these different wineries. You can drink and try all the different wines, and then you get really drunk, but then you have a beautiful lunch and you get to take a bunch of pictures and you meet all these people and you become best friends with them by the end of the wine tour, and you exchange phone numbers and you send them pictures. And if you're really lucky and you get a good wine tour driver, you can become best friends with the driver. So our favorite wine tour driver is going to be at my wedding because I love him dearly. So he's really good. But you have to watch out if you get on a wine tour where they serve mimosas in the morning on the way to the valley, then you might end up in trouble, which is what happened to us last year. We got a little crazy.
How crazy? Shirts
Like,
off crazy?
well, no, there were no shirts off, but
Because you had your jacket on.
yeah, no, it was just ridiculous. I got stung by a hornet. I was like crying in a winery. It literally flew down.
Did it hurt?
Yeah, it hurt really bad. And we were in a party bus, like limo bus thing, with the roof was off, and we're driving along drinking wine in the back of the van, and it just flew in and bombed bombed through the air. That doesn't make sense. Bombed through the air, whatever. What's the word when you, I don't know. Anyway, it flew down, targeted me, and stung me right on the thigh, and it hurt so bad. And then I was really drunk, and we were kind of at the point of no return. And the last thing I texted my boyfriend at the time was like, "I got stung by a bee. I think I'm dying." And then I didn't respond for 3 hours, and so then he thought I was dead.
Is it really that bad? Like a bee sting?
Well, I know. So I've been stung a couple times.
I can't get hurt by them. So I've been stung multiple times. I don't feel it. I don't feel hornets. I don't feel bees for some reason. Actually, what I still feel bad about to this day, I went camping when I was like 11 years old, and a bee had stung me in the neck. And I just noticed because like my dad's like, "You got stung by a bee on your neck." I'm like, oh, there's like a welt. I'm like, oh, I didn't even feel it. And he's like, okay. So what I did was I took my flip-flops, I put one on each hand, like, put my fingers in between where you would put like
Right.
your toes, and I had them on my hands, and I literally aggravated like a wasp or a hornet's nest or something. I watched them all fly at me, and I just started killing. I'm killing left and right. I killed at least like 20 of them. And like my dad's like, what the hell? I'm like, I was just upset that they offended me by stinging me. And he's like, that's the most scary. Like, I'm always the type of guy where people are like, it's a bee. I'm like, I got it. Don't touch it. Just get away. Like I'll grab them and I'll release them or something like that now. But like, I don't know.
Wow, I have no idea why you cannot feel the sting, because I can feel it. I'm also a wimp, but it was very painful.
Well,
But I've
God
been
was
sent the
like,
person.
do you want to block bullets? Do you want to feel bullets, or do you want to feel bee stings? I'm like, I don't want to feel bee stings. And like, all right, well, you'll feel bullets then. I'm like, okay, cool. I can handle getting shot.
That whatever works for you. But yeah, the bee stings, they itch a lot afterward, and it's very irritating. But it's obviously not the end of the world. But I was just like, how did this happen to me? What's going on? So that was great. We listened to some Post Malone.
Better
Wasted a
now?
whole box of Dominoes. It was bad.
Did you like Better Now?
Yeah. No, that was I remember waking up on the bus and Ball for Me was playing, and we woke up and just instantly were like dancing. Like we were so into it. And we just woke up and started singing. And the worst thing about that day was that we met a really nice couple, and we took a bunch of videos with them. And the whole time we called the husband Mike. We called him Mike, and we took probably 5 videos going, Mike, show us your dance moves. And he was dancing, his wife was dancing. And then I checked my phone that night, and they had added their numbers into my phone, and his name is Dave. And so we called this guy Mike the whole day, and he responded to Mike, and his wife like was responding to us calling him Mike. And that was not his name, and I don't know where we got Mike from, but we called him that the whole day. So
The stick
still
man.
feel bad about that. Sorry, Mike. Yeah, it's fine. It was fine, but it was just a really overwhelming time, but it was well worth it. Highly recommend Napa and Sonoma Valley in California if you ever get there. It's beautiful and kind of crazy.
I'm glad it got better for you, but what I meant by Better Now was that's a song by Post Malone.
No, I know that is what we listened to. We listened to that and Ball for Me, which I think is on the same album.
Sunflower's the best. Sunflower's the best.
Yeah, okay, Sunflower's the best, but I am really a sucker for Psycho. I can't get enough of that song, even though it's like 2 years old.
Brandon,
And I just
whatever
it
was,
just
is that Rockstar or Psycho?
oh that came out I think that came out a few months ago. That
I
one's
don't
good too.
listen to music anymore. I just listen to podcasts.
That's good. Podcasts are good to listen to. I
like
listen to
information.
I get into a song and then I can't stop for a few weeks and then I move on to another one. It's very typical of me, but I love Post Malone.
I love how you said Domino's. That's my favorite pizza place. Is it because of the oregano on the crust for you? Because that's what does it for me.
Yeah, that is amazing. And I don't know, I love Domino's, I love Papa John's.
Fuck Papa John's. It's a cult. I have a shirt made about it. It's him with a pizza slice on his he's holding a pizza and it's got a head on the pizza, because I feel like there's something wrong about that guy. I get really weird feelings about people. And like, I called Bill Cosby before that happened. I never liked him. Kevin Spacey.
Okay.
And then Krista Leah, I never liked that guy. And then freaking Mr. Rogers. I'm going to say it. And probably in any of these past 5 episodes that I release, you're going to hear about me saying something about Mr. Rogers. I believe he's a cult. And I will give a shout out to the guy that designed my t-shirts, Adam, who draws comics. He drew it up for me. And this is his little coloring book he sent me. I like it. But he drew the shirt up. He drew the idea up because I feel like that guy's, there's something wrong with him. And I looked it up. He said something racial and the company took him out. They said, sorry, you have to leave the company. You have to sell over your stuff because then they're going to associate as Papa John's as racist. But then I see him making videos and stuff. And I'm like, dude, this guy's like an alcoholic or something. Like, I can just sense that about him. He's got like some pent up aggression. Like, oh.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, no, I did not. I mean, I haven't looked into it recently.
This is a big
Just
thing
every
for
time
me.
I'm home, I have like, normally that's kind of the pizza that we get. But when I'm with Katie, we have Domino's. And one time she tried to get into a Domino's in Australia to go to the bathroom. because they don't really have public restrooms in Australia. And it was after a wine tour, naturally. And the guy was like, no, we don't have a bathroom. And then Katie was like, no, but Domino's is my favorite pizza. And she was trying to like get him to let her in. And he was like, we still don't have a bathroom. So we were rejected by Domino's.
That's when you just say, where do you go? Where do you go when you have to go to the bathroom?
Yeah. I think we walked for like 30 minutes trying to find one. I love Australia, but that is one thing I need some more clean public bathrooms. That's a necessity.
That makes sense. I know the people that like will put the toilet paper on the seat. That was a big thing when I was a kid. Then eventually I was like, I don't care. Like, if my ass gets contaminated, that's fine. I'm pretty sure I'm unloading way more into the toilet than whatever's already on it. You know what I mean?
True. I was thinking that the other day because I saw a picture on Facebook and it was like, how many of you do this where you put your foot up to flush the public toilet with the...
Yeah, I'm lazy.
And
I
I
don't
was
like
like, oh my
bending
God, I
down.
haven't even seen a public toilet in like this whole year. So I don't even know what I would do because I don't remember what it's like to be in public. So that's fine.
Seclusion.
Yeah.
We're gonna end
Seclusion at its finest.
Burn your Domino's down. That's what you got to do. That's the answer. Just burn it down if they don't let you use the bathroom. Mine burned down. Somebody did that. I don't know what happened, but that was my favorite place, and it burned down. So did our freaking Wendy's. Like, I don't.
Okay, yeah, I love Wendy's. See, I really miss the fast food in America because it's my favorite. I love fast food.
But you have rice bubbles there.
Yes, there's rice bubbles, and there's a lot of really good food. I mean, there's good food everywhere, but the one thing I really miss is Arby's. That is my favorite. All-time favorite, Arby's, without a doubt.
Arby's, we have the meats.
Yes, 100%. My favorite thing. I will serve it at my wedding because it's the best food ever.
Honestly, that's probably one of my favorite fast food places. I haven't eaten fast food in probably about 7 years, but that is a place. Chick-fil-A, like, I get it. The sauce is probably like the only thing that's really good. But like my whole senior year, me and my buddy would just go get like chocolate milkshakes, spicy chicken sandwich with the French fries and stuff. That was our whole senior year. And if I did that now, I would gain like 80 pounds because I haven't had it in forever. I'm like, I wish I could go back to eating a bag of Doritos a day like I did in high school.
That is amazing that you've not eaten it for so long. I admire that. I have some friends who have done that as well.
We talk about bad drunk experiences, like drinking too much and then something happens where you don't ever want to drink again. Same thing with fast food. I got very, very stoned, ate 3 McChickens, and I got so sick to where I never want to look and eat another McDonald's or any fast food really ever again. Like, it's just that. And I just stopped having it. And then your body stops craving it. Like, don't get me wrong. I haven't had pizza in a long time. But when I smell like a nice Domino's pizza, I'm like, oh, that motherfucker. Ho, ho, ho.
Wow. That hasn't happened to me with the food. Thank God. Because if something happened like that to me with like Arby's, I don't know. My life would be over. I wouldn't know how to cope.
Do you like the curly fries?
Oh my God. I am a curly fry. I absolutely love them. I love the curly fries. I love the potato cakes. And I like to put them on my French dip sandwich and dip it into the au jus. Oh my God. It's amazing.
Nothing beats a nice Egg McMuffin.
Okay. Egg McMuffin is good. But you have to put tiger sauce on it. That's the real kicker.
The fuck is tiger sauce?
Oh my God, it's the most amazing sauce. It's actually the only sauce that I eat. I do not have any other sauce. I don't use ketchup, mayo.
Honey mustard.
Okay, honey mustard, I'll dip chicken tenders in it, but I don't eat it.
That's what's up. I can't really eat honey mustard anymore. I ended up getting too stoned. I used to do a lot in high school when it came to that.
Wow.
But I ended up using the Ken's Steakhouse honey mustard syrup. But I would drown my nuggets in it to where it was like soup. And I remember I did that, and then I got really, really high where I started throwing up, and now I can't even do Ken's Steakhouse anymore. I'm like, no, I'm good on everything. I'll do like
Ken.
hot sauce.
Oh no, this is like, I describe tiger sauce as it's like olive oil with chili flakes in it. It's like the consistency of olive oil, but if it's like if sriracha and olive oil had a baby, I think that's kind of what tiger sauce is. It is unbelievable. Like, it is the best thing in this whole entire world. Eggs, chicken, meat, bread, potatoes, onions, vegetables, anything. You have to have tiger sauce. It's so Good.
Is it
So good.
wrong to put ketchup on a salad?
Yes.
How? It's tomatoes.
Because I hate ketchup. I hate it. I can't
Okay. I
handle it.
hate salad dressing, but I went to a restaurant and I got a salad and they didn't have anything like mustard, or they didn't have anything salad dressing wise. I was like, all right, well, I don't like the dressing. This salad is really bland. You don't even have meat in it. It's just lettuce. I'm like, can I get like a little bit of dressing? We don't have any. Okay. So I just grabbed ketchup and I started putting it on the salad and it was fucking good. It was like basically you're eating ketchup, but it was freaking good, dude.
What restaurant were you at that they didn't have salad
I was
dressing?
at some pub, but it was like it's one of those like really crappy bars, and it was a time around the Super Bowl that was happening, not this past year, but like a few years ago. And it was like they were out of everything. Like it was just so packed. And I was like, well, what the hell am I supposed to eat? And then it was like, you can use that, and it's ketchup. And I was like, all right, well, it looks like I'm dabbing in. I was like Matthew McConaughey. All right, all right, all right.
Wow. So did you know that they didn't have salad dressing when you ordered a salad? Did
Nope.
they tell you that? So they brought the salad to you and then said, oh, by the way, we don't have dressing.
Welcome to America. We don't care about your feelings. Nice to meet you.
Wow. That is some shocking service. My God.
It's okay. I'm used to
It's
like
fine.
getting slid under the table. That's why usually when I go to a place, I've designed this new rule that I learned from my buddy who used to work at Wawa, where it was like, you make it for me. You know what's good. So whenever I go to Chipotle, I'm like, you make it for me. You know what's good. Make it how you would eat it. And then I'm surprised every single time. It's always random. I don't know if I'm going to like it. And if I don't like it, that's my fault. I gave him, the tools to create my own sandwich. And they usually know what's pretty good. Like, oh, this meat's fresh. This meat's not so fresh. So I'm going to give them the fresh stuff. And they love that because then it lets them be creative with it. So I'm like, I fucking hate avocado, but they put avocado on it. I'm going to eat it because that's what I ordered. And I told them to do that.
Wow, that is so cool. I would panic if I did that, and also if I was asked to make something for someone, because I would just, the choices, I would be overwhelmed that I was going to not make a satisfactory sandwich.
You're going to love this segue. Serve me up where we can find your podcast.
Okay, you can find our podcast on Apple Podcast, Anchor, Google Podcasts. What are all the others? Spotify, duh, the big one. Pretty much everything. And we're on Instagram at Help a Girl Out Podcast, and we have all our links there. So you can find us there.
Well, that's been another episode out of the Blank Podcast, and stay tuned for our next episode.